Once you see it, you can't unsee it eyes. The night smelled of burnt coffee and asphalt. A neon sign outside the 24-hour diner flickered, humming faintly like a broken promise. Inside, under the buzzing fluorescent lights, Detective Marcus Hale stirred his black coffee, watching the steam rise and fade into nothing. He had spent 22 years staring into darkness: murders, overdoses, disappearances, but tonight, something weighed heavier. Across from him sat Rosa Alvarez, a woman in her early 30s, her eyes red-rimmed, fingers twisting the strap of her worn leather bag. She wasn't a suspect. She wasn't even officially a victim. She was a mother, desperate, terrified, and carrying a story that Marcus knew he would never be able to forget. "My daughter, Isabella, she saw something," Rosa said, her voice cracking. "Something she shouldn't have seen." Marcus leaned forward. "What exactly?" Rosa swallowed hard, glancing around the diner as if someone might be listening. "She was walking home from school last week. Took the shortcut by the old textile factory. She came home pale, shaking, and she told me," Rosa's voice dropped to a whisper. "There was a man, dragging a girl her age, into the building." Marcus's grip tightened around the coffee mug. That factory had been abandoned for years, the kind of place teens used for dares and addicts used for shelter. The department had dismissed it countless times as nothing more than a ruin. "She said the girl's eyes were open," Rosa whispered, "but they weren't moving. And the man, he saw her watching." Marcus felt something crawl under his skin. "Did she tell anyone else?" "She begged me not to. She said, Mama, once you see it, you can't unsee it. She's been having nightmares ever since. She won't eat. Won't go to school." I don't know if it's in her head or if Rosa stopped herself, trembling. "But last night, she didn't come home. My baby is gone." The silence in the diner stretched long, broken only by the hiss of the coffee machine. Marcus had heard thousands of stories, but this one slid into him like a knife. A girl sees something terrible. A girl disappears. He stood abruptly. "We're going to the factory." The factory loomed like a carcass against the night sky, its windows shattered, its bricks scarred with graffiti. Marcus's flashlight cut through the shadows as Rosa trailed behind him, clutching her rosary. "Stay close," he muttered. Inside, the air smelled of rust, mold, and something faintly metallic like blood long dried. Every step echoed against the hollow floors. Broken machinery stood like skeletons, wrapped in spider webs and silence. Then he saw it. Against the far wall, scratched deep into the concrete, were words, "Once you see it, you can't unsee it." The letters were jagged, desperate, carved by someone who had either wanted to warn the world or leave behind their last testimony. Rosa gasped, clutching his arm. Marcus felt his chest tighten. He had seen killers leave messages before, but this was different. This was obsession. This was ritual. As his flashlight swept across the floor, it caught something: a shoe. Small. Pink. A child's. Rosa let out a strangled scream. The case spiraled fast. Detectives, patrols, even federal agents were pulled in once the news broke: a missing girl, possibly connected to other unsolved disappearances over the last 5 years. Parents across the city locked their doors tighter, walked their children to school, and prayed the factory was not what it seemed. But Marcus couldn't sleep. That phrase burned in his head. "Once you see it, you can't unsee it." He dug through old files, cross-referenced missing children, and something terrifying emerged. Every case where a girl had vanished within the last decade, there was a report buried, dismissed, forgotten of another child who claimed to have seen something. A shadow in a window. A man in an alley. A girl being pulled away. Each witness was young. Each one was ignored. And many of those witnesses later disappeared themselves. It wasn't random. It was a cycle. Marcus realized he wasn't chasing a killer. He was chasing a pattern. A curse. A sickness that passed from one child's eyes to the next. 3 nights later, Marcus received a call. Detective Hale, the voice was trembling. My name is Lydia. My son saw something. By the river. He keeps saying the same thing, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Marcus's blood ran cold. Another witness. Another child. He drove to the riverbank, headlights cutting across the fog. The boy was sitting on the back of an ambulance, wrapped in a blanket, staring into nothing. His lips moved, repeating the phrase over and over like a broken record. Tell me what you saw, kid, Marcus said softly. The boy finally turned his head. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated, as if he were still trapped inside the moment. A girl. She was in the water. But she wasn't floating. She was standing. Looking at me. Marcus froze. And there was a man, the boy whispered. Behind her. Holding her shoulders. Smiling. Marcus felt the ground shift beneath him. Rosa's daughter, Isabella. Alive. Or something worse. The search intensified. Teams swept through the riverbanks, the forest, the factory. They found bones. Dozens. Some so old they had fused with the dirt. Others fresh. But not Isabella. Then, one evening, Rosa showed up at Marcus's apartment, her face hollow, her hands shaking. She came back. Marcus's heart stopped. Who? Isabella. She walked into the house. Her clothes were wet. She didn't say a word. She just stared at me. Those eyes. Rosa broke down, sobbing. Detective, it wasn't my daughter anymore. I swear to God, whatever came back wasn't her. Marcus knew he should call it in. But he didn't. Because deep down, he knew the truth. This was not something the system could contain. This wasn't just crime. It was contagion. That night, Marcus went to Rosa's house. He found Isabella sitting on the floor of her bedroom, staring at the wall. When she turned her head, Marcus felt a chill crawl down his spine. Her eyes were not the eyes of a child. They were ancient, hollow, and brimming with something that had seen too much. Isabella, he whispered, what did you see? Her lips curled into the faintest smile. Once you see it, she murmured, voice layered, almost echoing, you can't unsee it? Then she looked straight at him. And in that moment, Marcus realized it wasn't just the children. It had passed to him. Days blurred into nights. Marcus stopped sleeping. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. The girl in the water. The man smiling. Dozens of faces staring from the shadows. He began to understand what the children meant, the way the image burrowed into the mind, multiplying, consuming, until it was no longer memory but presence. The department said Marcus had gone unstable. They took him off the case. But he couldn't let it go. He found himself driving past the factory at night, parking by the river, staring into the water. Sometimes, he swore he saw her. The girl. Standing. Waiting. A month later, a family reported their daughter missing. Then another. And another. The cycle had started again. Marcus sat alone in his apartment, blinds drawn, walls covered with maps and photographs. He knew what was coming. He knew what would happen to the next child who saw. And the next. And the next. He stared at his reflection in the cracked bathroom mirror. His eyes were bloodshot, haunted. He whispered the words to himself, the way Isabella had, the way all of them had, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And as he said it, he realized something terrifying. He was smiling.